separate topic for Imam later on to take on about the ghusl, the fiqh of ghusl, how to do the ghusl of the body and all of that, right? And now, alhamdulillah, MCGP had the washing room here. I just checked there, I put some supplies, stuff and caskets and stuff over there. So anybody who be interested will get actually the live training on actual body, right? When I come here, if you're interested, come join me and you will learn, and I need people to do that. I am only discussing the legal part of the funeral, the legal part of the funeral. Without legal, you cannot do the burial. There is no burial without getting all the paperwork completed, permits and everything, right? So in funerals, two parts, legal part and religious part. And you know that the state of New Jersey, the Fed, no one cares what we as a Muslim do. They don't care what the Christians do. They don't care what the Jews do to the body, right? Whether we wash or don't wash, we embalm or don't, I mean, embalming is separate. So this is all, you know, they don't care about the religious part of the funeral, but they care about the legal part of the funeral. And without legal part, there's really no funeral. Okay. So what is the legal part of the funeral? Is the doctor's certification. If somebody dies at the hospital, let's say at hospital, right? The doctor have to certify the death. Unless the doctor certifies the death, nothing moves forward. Nothing moves forward. That doesn't mean that I don't get the bodies. Like last night, I got 3 bodies. It's in the funeral home at ISCJ. It's there. And soon it's going to be here also. It's here. So I have the body, but the doctor have not certified the death yet. What that means is the doctor have to log into the New Jersey Department of Health Electronic Death Registry System, EDRS, and go and certify the death, right? Without that, nothing moves. So a question to all of you, when the death occurs at the hospital or home or wherever, do not announce the funeral. This is the first question I get from the family. The first thing they say, okay, the person passed away, we have announced already the funeral is going to be tomorrow after Zuhr prayer. If you announce that, and the doctor legally have 24 hours, legally have 24 hours to certify the death. And certification of death is just a legal process, not like person already passed away, right? Person already passed away, I have the body, everything, but again, they have to do that work, right? So if you already announced the funeral, then you have to retract your message later on if the paperwork are not there, right? So you only announce the funeral once the funeral director confirms to you. Any funeral director, I'm not talking about myself, whoever the funeral you're working with, the funeral director has to confirm that, yes, paperwork are here, ready now, go ahead now, announce it, right? So the first thing is the physician certification, and many things get delayed. I'm not going to go into too much details here, but doctor have 24 hours, so what can you do, right? But most of the time, alhamdulillah, I see 99% of the time, you know, if you are at the hospital and you know the death have occurred, I tell the family, let me talk to the nurse. I talk to the nurse and I say, we are Muslim, the family is Muslim, and they want to do the funeral in the next 4 hours. Even if I have 10 hours, I want to keep some cushion. So if the funeral is for, if we are tentatively planning the funeral for Zohar prayer at 1:15, I'm going to tell the nurse the funeral is 7:30 a.m. in the morning, if the death occurs in the night time. So they rush it, right? And if they don't do it by 8:30, still we have time. So doctor certification, once the doctor certifies, then I apply for the burial permit. The burial permit completes from the state registrar. Then I apply for the transit permit to transit the body. Even though I transited the body and brought it, I cannot transit the body to the cemetery until I have the transit permit. Then I get the clearance from the local health department. The township here, clearance from them. State registrar and the township registrar. So see, you can imagine all of these things, right? So death occurs, so you already announced the funeral, nothing happened, right? So this is very important. The other thing is, you as a family can expedite the burial. You as a family can expedite the burial. If the death occurs in the hospital, maybe half an hour to stay in the room, 45 minutes, half an hour, not more than that. As long as the family is sitting in the room with the deceased, the hospital do not process the case. So if you, like last night, right, I got the call at around 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., at the daytime, 1 p.m., and the family said, we want to do the funeral today, Zohar prayer, right? I said, okay, so we half an hour to stay there and then leave. And 5 o'clock, I called 5 p.m. at the hospital. I said, I'm coming to pick up the body. They said, no, family's still in the room. So I could not pick up the body, right? So I called the family. They said, soon we are leaving. That soon became another 2 hours. You know what I mean? It gets delayed than everything. So you stay maybe 45 minutes. Maybe it is better for me to bring the body from hospital and put it here, and you can sit in a clean place instead of sitting in the hospital, right? The sooner it gets released, the better it is. Okay. What is the religious part of the funeral? You already know, I don't need to explain. What is that? Ghusl, right? Prayer, Salatul Janazah, and Dua, right? So I don't need to go in that detail. So funerals have two parts. Now, custody of the body. Who gets the custody of the body, right? So me as a funeral director, I get the legal custody of the body. Whenever you say legal, it's a lot of burden on me, right? By the state and Fed and all of that, right? And you as a family get the constructive custody. Constructive custody means you are the one who's going to construct how, when, and how you want to do the funeral. For example, you will say, okay, I want to do the funeral on Saturday. I want to do the funeral on Sunday. I want to do the funeral tomorrow. I want to do the funeral prayer in this mosque. I want this imam to do it. That's all legal, right? But believe me, I do get the cases from family. They say, oh, the person passed away. Please don't wait for permit. Let's take the body to the cemetery and we bury ourselves. Come and sign for me. No. All right? So I get the legal custody of the body. It's in my legal custody. And constructive custody is the family where we follow their wishes as long as they are legal. Clear? I'm going to quiz you guys later. All right? Okay. Now, what is the funeral process itself, right? And I'm going to just take a very simple example. I'm going to take an example for someone who passed away because it's different cases, right? If somebody passes at home versus somebody passes at hospital, and also if somebody passed at home suddenly, or somebody passed at home who was under the hospice care or under the doctor care, is a different case. Or somebody who is rushed to the hospital and died in the hospital within 24 hours of admittance to the emergency. So if someone gets heart attack and you took him to the hospital and he passed away there, within 24 hours of admitting to the hospital, it becomes a medical examiner case. The doctor at the hospital, even though he saw the person passed away, he's not going to certify the death. He said, I don't know, maybe someone gave something at the home to eat and whatever, and he rushed to the hospital, why I'm going to sign? So then it becomes a medical examiner case. The body goes to the medical examiner, and every county, 4 or 5 counties together have. So we have Livingston, North Brunswick, we have state medical examiner in Newark, and so on. The body goes over there, and then the medical examiner wants to do autopsy. They're not going to certify their death. Why, you know? But if the family requests, we say on the religious basis, the family is asking to please waive the autopsy, right? It's their discretion whether they're going to waive it or not waive it. Now, if the person is young, never waiving. They're not going to waive. If this person is 90-year-old or 80-year-old, they'll say, you know, for most probably natural death, and they will waive it. They do just external exam. They just do external. So I'm not discussing all of the cases. I'm just going to discuss very simple case. Death occurs at the hospital, right? So question to you guys, what are you going to do? If death occurs in the hospital, what would be your first step? Anybody want to answer?
Leave the body in half an hour.
Leave, sorry?
Leave the body in half an hour.
Yeah, so that one is so the release can happen, right? But still, you have to.
I think you mentioned something about requesting the burial to be happening very quickly, so release, or that the religious point of view,
So,
bury the body and request them to clear it.
yeah, so so what you're saying is half an hour. That is so that the funeral home can get the body released from the hospital, right? Right. So when the death occurs at the hospital, what you do is the first thing you should be contacting is a funeral home. A funeral home. So because you're not going to learn all those stuff here. If it's 15 years from me, I'm still learning every day something new, right? So you will contact the funeral director or the funeral home, and they're going to guide you what to do. I'm just giving you some tips to expedite it. If you're going to keep sitting in the room, the funeral director cannot do anything, right? I'm going to give you the tip also. Please tell the nurse that you do not want any organ sharing. Because the state of New Jersey law is anybody who passes at the hospital, the first thing they have to do is call the sharing network to come and harvest any organs. So family have to request it in advance to say, we do not want that at all. Because if the sharing network is holding the body is not released. So you put that in advance in the file for the patient, right? And then, as a funeral director, we're going to advise you to please let me talk to the nurse so we can expedite, explain them, and all of that. Okay? Do not announce the funeral immediately. Say, okay, death occurred, Brother Afzal, we already announced the funeral tomorrow after Zuhr prayer. No, this happens. It's very realistic. It's very realistic because most of the time, we as a Muslim thinking from a different perspective, right? If this is a non-Muslim funeral, and by the way, the funeral home I have in Princeton, I have my other funeral director, he does the cases for other faith. If it is a death of a Christian, for example, it's not rushing at all. They will say the person passed away, okay, go pick up the body, they will pick the body in 2 days, then the family will come in 3 days to sit down with you, will make the funeral arrangements, and then funeral will happen in 2 weeks. By that time, the doctor is also certified, body is also released. It's for us because we need to do as soon as possible, right? Because we need to do as soon as possible. So from the place of death is hospital, or place of death can be home, right? From that place of death, where the body goes, right? Where the body goes. It all depends upon the case of the death. And I just gave you some example, emergency, someone, it will go to the medical examiner instead of giving to the funeral director. If a death occurs at home and the person is under hospice care, do not call police at all. If you call the police, then they are the one who's going to come, they will dispatch the ambulance. They are the one who's going to make the pronouncement. Then they and the hospital nurse will fight with each other. I had the case where they were fighting with each other for 1 day. Who's going to certify the death? They said, no, you guys came and you did. We are hospice, even though it was our patient, I'm not going to certify. Right? But if somebody suddenly dies, you have to call the police and the medical examiner, and all of that get involved. Okay? So anyway, the body get released, and where the body is going to go then? Inshallah, when this place is ready, the body will come here. Right? Not all bodies, not all. Okay? Complicated cases, we cannot handle there. Autopsy cases where the body is all open, cut, so we have to suture it back. We cannot do these kind of procedures here. And we are not even equipped, ISCJ, MCMC, or whichever. These are just facilities to do the spiritual washing of the body of simple cases. If somebody died of any disease, not here. because we get the death certificate and we know in advance how the person passed away, right? When COVID was happening, all facilities was closed. The only facility I had it open is the ICJ one, because it's the facility is, it's a separate, right? It's not connected with the mosque, and I can open all the windows everywhere. So you cannot. So if somebody, because when we get the paperwork from the hospital, it says whether it has the communicable disease or not. If it's communicable disease, not going to be washed here. It's a risk for the whole community. Okay? Same thing. I may have to take it to the funeral home where we have all the disinfectants, which you cannot put it here. Embalming solution and all, not allowed to put here, right? So from hospital, let's say the case is simple, it comes here, we wash the body, Imam does the Salatul Janazah, and then to the cemetery. Now to all of this coordination, who is going to do that coordination, right? So in funeral terms, there is a concept of funeral arrangement conference, and it is required by Federal Trade Commission and New Jersey Mortuary Board for the licensed funeral director. I cannot have my staff member to sit with you and do the funeral arrangement. To licensed funeral director to sit with the family and go with the arrangement conference. What arrangement conference? When you want to do the funeral, which cemetery you want to do the funeral, you want viewing, no viewing, all those details, you have all it, and believe me, when arrangement conference happens, the funeral goes very smooth, very smooth. It makes my life very easy, because you came to the office, we sat, and we discussed all the details. I have the fax machine, I have computer, everything, start faxing to state, to all of this, right? Versus we just doing on the phone, right? And you don't grasp everything. And then the family will keep calling me every 5 minutes. What is next? What is next? What is next? So arrangement conference is a requirement to be done by the licensed funeral director with the legal next of kin of the deceased. Now, legal next of kin of the deceased has a priority defined by the state laws. Who is the legal next of kin? First is the spouse. If there is no spouse, then it goes to, divorce cases, all of that. Then it goes to the majority of children. Now, if the children don't agree, and I have multiple cases, I have cases where the family folding their sleeves on each other. And I have cases the family were folding sleeves on me also. Because they said, why are you delaying the funeral? Body is here, you have the body, why are you delaying the funeral? Forget birth permits and all of that, let's do it. So I had to call the police. I said, hey, listen, I'm not going to get my license revoked. Right? So all these kind of cases. Arrangement conference is a requirement to be done, and it takes almost hour and a half, 2 hours, arrangement conference. You walk away with peace of mind. You know exactly what is happening at what time. Okay? It's not chaotic then. Right? Because for you is the experience, you don't have that experience, right? So you want that, I want to hold your hand and walk you through the whole process. Now, that arrangement conference to be attended by the legal next of kin, and I know that it is not easy for the legal next of kin or the wife to attend the, arrangement conference and all of that, right? So you can assign, you can delegate somebody, your family, your friend, or someone. There is a form called renunciation of rights. I send you the form online, you fill it, you say, I'm giving all those rights to this person X to make arrangement on my behalf. He comes and do all of that. But then you have to listen to that person, because that person came and understood everything. I have cases where family said, okay, this is the person who's going to do the arrangement conference, all the details. The next day the funeral is happening, the same family comes, why are you doing this way? I said, you talk to this person, you delegated this person, he made the arrangement, he said, yes, this cemetery, and the family, no, not this cemetery, I want this cemetery. You delegated this person, and I cannot change the cemetery now. The funeral has to be delayed at least 2 days now. Because once I sign the paper and the permits are issued, I cannot go and change it. I have to take the paper to the township now. Imagine if this is Friday, and this issue happens, Township is closed on Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to go on Monday to do it. So if you're delegating someone, we make sure, that person is the one. And I tell the family, I tell that person basically, or persons, you are the one who came to make the funeral arrangement. If anybody interrupts tomorrow, I'm just going to tell them, talk to them, not me. All right? So you can delegate. What is discussed in that arrangement conference? All forms to be completed. The forms that need to be completed is release authorization, which is completed in advance when I'm picking up the body, online form. Department of Health, New Jersey Department of Health form, it's a 5-page form. You will fill that with me. I can send you by online also, so you can fill and bring it to me. And today I did the funeral. I mean, I was surprised, did the funeral. This deceased, may Allah give her janazah for those, had 3 different names. I'm calling Medicaid and social services. They said the name don't match with social security card. So her name is different on Medicaid card, different on social security card, and the other card. I'm like, which one do you want me to put on the death certificate? Because later on, once the death certificate is signed and issued, once I sign it, and that means the death certificate is issued, any correction you want later on has to go back to the state of New Jersey registrar. It takes 6 months and a lot of documentation as a proof. For example, if somebody by mistake put divorced, and later on all of a sudden say, no, it was married. That's it. It's signed, it goes to the state of New Jersey now, registrar. Now you're coming back, you say, no, it was married, right? Okay, now they're going to ask you all the paperwork to bring. Now, at that time, whatever information you give me, I sign it, done. Now you want any changes, you have to provide all the proof. To be very careful on that. At that arrangement conference, we discussed there is a separate release authorization if the body is at the medical examiner in the county, separate with the state, which is the Newark one. I have to notarize it. You come sign with me and I notarize, I fax to them. They don't take without notary. Okay? Objection to autopsy. Like on religious basis, you can request, okay, no autopsy. All right? I have to send the paperwork. They don't talk verbally anything. Imagine all of this we are just doing on the phone. Much easier, you come sit with me, your delegate sit with me, we do everything in one spot. Fax it, email it, sign it, notarize it, everything done. Okay? Then you have the consent of services form. The consent of services form, who I just told you who's the, goes in order of priority, spouse, majority of children, and so on. So if the person has nobody, then it goes to the court. And I had one case that funeral was delayed for 1 month. I had to hold the body for 1 month. And I don't like to hold the body for that long. I just did the funeral yesterday. I don't know, the family wanted after 9 days of burial. As long as the body stays with me, I'm worried, anything can happen, all kind of decomposition, all kind of things, right? So consent of services, and if the family do not agree, then there are issues, they need to figure out themselves. And they start fighting with each other, then of course, I'm not going to do anything, just put the body with me and go resolve all those issues, and then come back and then we do the funeral, right? Okay. You will sign the viewing waiver also. Viewing waiver means if you want to view the body, and from my professional judgment, I tell you that body is not viewable. The one burial I did yesterday, this person was passed away and was at home for 5 days. Nobody knew, was living by himself. You can imagine the condition of the body. The family said they want to see the face. I said, I saw it. You're not going to be able to handle it. No, we still want to see. All right, here, waiver, sign the waiver form that all kind of things. Sign the waiver. No, we're not going to sign the waiver. I said, okay, then you can't see. So you either sign it and see it or don't see it. So finally, they did not see. Alhamdulillah. Medicaid form for cases for Medicaid, right? Fill it up there because Medicaid pays for the funeral home and the cemetery also. If we get time, I'm going to go with the cost with you. That's why I said the projector would be the ideal thing so I can show you. But I'm just, inshallah, trying my best. I will send you the draft. Once I enter all the information in the computer, in the EDRS, called Electronic Death Registry System, I'm going to give you, okay, review everything. Any correction, you want to do it? Any correction, spelling or whatever, do it now before I sign it. Right? Once I sign it, it has to go to the state of New Jersey for correction 6 months. Right? Life insurance. All, family have life insurance. How their paperwork for that needs to be sent and notarized. Tentative, I will give you the tentative funeral schedule and I will let you know how the funeral schedule looks like. Then there is a statement of funeral goods and services. What are you paying for the funeral? I cannot just tell you, brother, the total cost is $1,500, write a check, $1,500 done. I can't. I have to break it down. What is that $1,500 for? So there are, from funeral home perspective, there are 5 different categories. I must explain it to you. It's a requirement. If I don't explain you and anybody report to the New Jersey Mortuary Board, I'm in big trouble. Okay? So a statement of funeral goods and services, and family have to sign it, that too. And I have to sign as a funeral director also. I will go in the same arrangement conference, I'm going to go with the cost, I'm going to explain you the cemetery. Alhamdulillah, MCGP has this cemetery, Greenwood Cemetery. Since this Greenwood Cemetery, I'm doing the burial there, I'm much peaceful. Because when I go to Jersey State Memorial Park, Imam, you saw how that Jersey State Memorial Park Cemetery is. The water and all kind of things, no one cares anything there. This Greenwood Cemetery is very good. There is a manager who works with you, who works with me to complete everything properly, okay? The next one is, so I already gave you this arrangement conference. Let me continue down. I'm just trying to skip some of the steps here. I mean, I wanted to show you the release authorization in New Jersey Department of Health form, but maybe next time, okay? If we had project them next time, inshallah we do. I'll give you the funeral schedule. I will give you the full funeral schedule, so there is no confusion. There is no confusion. I'm going to tell you, okay, let's say death occurs this morning, right? And we are planning the funeral for Zohar prayer, and I get the permits and it's ready. I'm going to give you the schedule. Okay, washing from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we follow the schedule. I follow the schedule very strictly because my time changes with one phone call. Last night, only one funeral I was going to do today up until 6 p.m. All of a sudden, 2 more calls came last night. So everything changed for me. So for first family, the schedule was set, so I had to go around for other funerals because I cannot change that, right? So I'm going to give you the full schedule, what time is the ghusl going to happen, if you guys want viewing or no viewing. I'm not going in religious part of whether viewing allowed or not, okay? I'm not going in that part. Whether viewing is allowed or not, if your family wants, I cannot deny you. Okay, you discuss with the imam, then if you want viewing, I'm going to give you. So for example, okay, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Ghusl, 11:30 to 12:30 viewing, 12:45 casket moved out, and I'm giving you example for ICJ, for example, for body moved from the facility to the mosque. 1:15 Salatul Janazah, Zohar prayer. 1:25 Salatul Janazah. 1:45 sharp we leave to the cemetery. 2:30, between 2:30 and 3 p.m. we should be at the cemetery, right? So full schedule you get, and there is no changes. Once the schedule is set up, the family says, okay, viewing from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. I do not accommodate the family to come at 11 a.m. then. If it is set to 11:30, it's for 11:30 because I need to take some rest. Right? I need to take some rest because for that family, it's just one time, right? For me, it's all the time, right? So we follow the schedule very strictly. And I also ask the family that who wants to handle the casket, get 6 names who can handle the casket to put lower in the grave and all of that. So the funeral don't go. So for example, I have one case, the family said there will be no viewing at all. No viewing at all. So I made the schedule accordingly. Okay, instead of doing the ghusl at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., I said, okay, we're going to do the ghusl from 11 a.m. to 12:15, right? And then in half an hour, I'm going to complete paper and take the casket to the mosque, and then we do Salatul Janazah and left because you don't want any viewing, right? I'm putting the body after Salatul Janazah in the van, in the hearse. All of a sudden, 50 people come to me. No, we need to see the deceased. What happened? We did not see at all. I said, your family member came. They made the funeral arrangement. They said there will be no view. So I did not put any schedule for that. No, we have to see. And this was the COVID time. In COVID time, once the body is at the funeral home, leave from the funeral home, you cannot open the body at all. Now this whole family is like, no, we need to see. So I'm just giving you some tips here, right? The funeral arrangement conference is very important. Okay. Let me see, what is this? Okay, I'm going to go with the cost of the funeral. This would be much easier if I had the PowerPoint, but I'm just reading from here for you. Okay, so we have the funeral home I have called is called General Price List. Every year we need to send it to the Federal Trade Commission to get it approval, and New Jersey Mortuary Board. And the inspector comes every year and they review the general price list to make sure that what we gave them, that's what we are doing it. Right? So everything must come from general price list. Now, as a funeral director, we must serve all communities. I cannot say, Christian, I cannot do your services. So that general price list have cremation cost also, burning cost also. And when I give to the family, they say, Astaghfirullah, you do burning? I said, no, brother, we are licensed. We have to cater them to. My way of, for me, since I don't want to get involved in that, I just say, okay, the price is going to be this much, $3,000, let's say. Or I talk to my other funeral director, Ron. I say, Ron, if you want to handle this case, go ahead and handle this case. I'm not handling this case, right? And then he says, okay, he will do it, but he said, no, you do it. I said, okay, no, this is going to cost $5,000. That's the way to let the family go away from me. So it had the cost for cremation, it had the cost of embalming, it had all the disclosures. And when I give to you, I must give you. Don't say that it has burning and cremation and all of that. Okay? So that general price is 99%, I will say 95% of the items not even valid for Muslims, but I still have to keep it that way. Okay? So funeral cost, and I'm rushing, all right? There's so much to discuss, but I'm just rushing right now. Funeral cost, anybody knows what are the different costs for any funeral arrangement? What are the different costs? Who gets paid in the funeral service? The first one, cemetery, right? The cemetery wants to charge for the grave plot, the plot itself, and the opening and closing, right? Now, MCGP has bought the grave there, so you can purchase the grave directly, as Imam was mentioning, from MCGP, right? In advance or at need. In advance or at need. You can purchase in advance. So you'll pay for the grave plot, and you're going to pay for the grave opening and closing. And I'm taking an example of, for example, this cemetery, Greenwood Cemetery. So MCGP, alhamdulillah, have negotiated a very good cost with this Greenwood Cemetery, that what he's going to charge, they're going to charge MCGP members for opening and closing. So their weekday charges, I think up until 2 o'clock, is $13.85 for opening and closing. That's not for the plot, for opening and closing. After 2 o'clock, they start charging overtime. Over the weekend, they charge $1,100 more. Things like that, okay? So I think still MCG have negotiated that even for the weekend, increase the hour. Instead of starting the overtime at 2 o'clock, start at 3 o'clock. I think they have agreed on these things. I don't know all the details, but simply you have a cost for the cemetery, grave plot, and opening closing. Grave plot and opening closing. See? Then you have the cost for the estate registrar. Estate registrar, I'm not going to go in detail, but I'm going to say simply $48 for 10 death certificates. Much easier. 48, nobody gonna say why $48, right? Take 10 death certificates, you are covered for everything. Some family comes, they say, okay, we just need 2. I said 2 death certificates from the state of New Jersey is $38, and 10 are $48. You spend $10 more and take 10, because every place you have to give original. You cannot give, you cannot make a copy and give to them. Any. So if you want to close bank account, car, life insurance, anything, real estate, you have to give original. So just for $10 more, get 10 and covered. Later on, you come and ask me to get more death certificate. It takes 4 to 5 months to get more, and headache and all kind of things. All right. This is all discussed in arrangement conference too. Okay. Funeral home cost. There are 5 different categories for funeral home cost. Okay, 5 different categories which goes in the statement of funeral goods and services. It's a legal page document. It's a legal page document. It cannot be on both sides. It has to be only one side. It's a requirement. I cannot give the family something written on the other side. It has to be one-sided legal page. Okay, and they have a standard format. The first thing is professional services of funeral director and his staff. Okay, professional services of funeral director and staff. As per the general price list is $22.50. As per the general price list is $22.50. And why it is done in this way, I'm going to explain you very quickly. If the family is paying from their own pocket, then I give MCGP members or NBIC or MCMC members, I give $1,200 member discount. So you're paying $1,000. But if this is a Medicaid eligible case, then payment comes from Medicaid. Then we don't discount it, because Medicaid pays that. And Medicaid either take it or lose it. You know what I mean? So Medicaid says either you take it or lose it. But if someone is paying by themselves, then it's $1,000 for the professional services of funeral director and his staff. Then the second category is other staff and related services. These are all categories, okay? Other staff and related services. The only thing I see applicable for Muslims is the viewing setup part. Viewing setup part. If you say, okay, we're going to do viewing for 1 hour, please set up. If we are doing here, there is no charge. There is no charge here. I'm going to bring the casket here, leave there, family just see quick. But I...
viewing room downstairs. It's a separate viewing room.
Yeah, but there we're not going to be able to accommodate like... Yeah, but people want like 100 people, 200 people come see, right? So if we are doing the viewing here, there is no charge. But some family ask me, no, we want the viewing, the proper viewing, where you have the tables and chairs sitting and lighting and all kind of things. You know, have you seen the non-Muslim viewing? All kind of lighting and everything. Then it's not done here. It's done at my funeral home in Princeton. And it's $800 per hour. Family wants that, okay, I'm going to engage my staff members over there. Staff members will come there, my other funeral, because there are many restrictions at the funeral home. They put the lighting, all kind of things, and one family did that. One family asked me, it's a Muslim family, they said, no, take my father and put in a nice suit and everything, and we want to do that kind of viewing, okay. So everyone is different. So if you want there, it costs a lot of money, okay, it's your choice. So a lot of family calls me, they say, what is the cost for the funeral? I said, there's no one fit for all. It depends. It's a Medicaid case or not Medicaid case. Do you want viewing or no viewing, right? Then you have the cost. The third category is transportation. Transportation means transfer, and in transportation, 2 things are valid. One is transfer of deceased from the place of death to, let's say, here, if the case is simple, right? Transfer of death from the place of death to this place is $200 standard. But that is within 15 to 20 miles, right? Oh, by the way, what I just told you about the discount, right, the MCGP, this is for the MCGP members or NBIC or these members. I get the cases which is, you know, I'm not going to name the imam, some imam calls me, okay, NBIC or this, whichever mosque is that, okay, you get that discount. Or one person passed away in Philadelphia, and they're expecting that it's not even their members. They're expecting I'm going to go to Virginia and send my staff member to Virginia or Connecticut and bring the body, and it's going to be the same. You getting my point? It's for within 20 miles. Like the day before yesterday I did the funeral. The body come from Syracuse. The family insisting, no, we're going to do at ISCJ. Okay, Syracuse is 270 miles one way. So it's not going to be $200 for transportation. You're going to pay extra for mileage. So I send my staff. It costed family around $770 more to go there and bring the body here. So it's no one fit for all, right? And don't ask me like, okay, brother, we are MCGP member. No, this person passed away in Connecticut. It's not going to be the same. Clear? So transfer of deceased, and then what vehicle you want to use for funeral procession. When we leave the mosque and we go to the cemetery, what do you want me to do? Right? You want me to use the van we use, funeral shuttle we call it, or service vehicle, is $250. Or no, we want limousine. Okay, you want limousine? I don't keep a car which is $150,000, right? So I have to rent for you, and the rent is $650. You know, now you're getting why it's not one fit for all? One fit for all. So when you come and sit in the arrangement conference, I explain you everything. Actually, I explain on the whiteboard. So if there are 4 or 5 family members sitting, everybody with me on the same page. You want hearse or no? You want just simple van? It's going to be this. All right? Let me continue here. Then you have the fourth category is called merchandise in funeral terms. When I was attending my course in the college, they were teaching me merchandise and all of that. I went from a Muslim perspective, right? For us, wash, ghusl, kafan, and done. And this teacher is teaching me merchandise and all. I said, what all of this is? Finally, I learned that it is really important. It's really important. So in merchandise, 3 things are, one is the casket. The casket can be simple to very expensive. So the casket I have in my funeral home, or the casket I put it here, is either from $375 to $3,000. And some family do ask me. By the way, one of the family, some other funeral home did the burial of their mother in a simple casket. The casket I just put it, $375. Later on, they contacted me and said, no, we wanted to actually bury her in nice mahogany casket with pillow and everything. And we want to take her out from there after 2 weeks of burial. So she's already buried. I had applied for the disinterment permit, took her out from that cemetery, transferred to a new casket, and bring it to Greenwood Cemetery. They said, don't worry, they spent almost $15,000 more after that burial. All right, so casket, you will decide what you want. Okay, casket is, every cemetery requires casket. Now, this cemetery do allow you to bury the body directly on the dirt, but you still have to put the casket upside down. You know what I mean? Either you have the body and the casket and you go down and the lid closed, done. What you can do is, this cemetery allows that the family can put the deceased up, on the ground first, and then we open the lid and we put the casket upside down. So the body, in fact, is touching the ground. That's what we prefer, right, as a Muslim, right? So in merchandise casket, you decide what you want, and all of this discussed in arrangement conference, right? Temporary grave marker is $40, which we put the temporary grave marker. Later on, if you want permanent, you have to work with the monument company. That cost me $6,000, $7,000. It's your decision, right? Then if the cemetery requires vault, a burial vault, this cemetery don't require, so I'm not going to go in detail because most of the members are going to be buried there, right? Or Jersey State don't require, Marlborough don't require, but the one I did the burial yesterday, they required vault, and that vault is $1,800. It's costing everything to the family. You decide which cemetery you want to bury, we have to follow their rules, okay? So that is merchandise. And all of this cost is written for you on the statement of funeral goods and services. Okay. By the way, Medicaid eligible cases. If the deceased have Medicaid, the Medicaid pays $3,056 towards the funeral home cost. 3056. So if you add 2250, casket 375, transportation, it all goes to 3056. Right? It goes to 3056 if this is Medicaid, because I cannot tell the Medicaid, you know, there are all different things I have to do. It goes to 3056.
You mean Medicare or Medicare?
Not Medicare, Medicaid only. They pay, it goes to 3056, it's Medicaid case, the family pays zero. It comes from Medicaid. But if the family don't listen to me at that time when I'm making funeral arrangement, you lose that money. It has to be done certain ways. I had cases where the family said, and I can understand, their father passed away. I said, the family, sit down, if you want, you know, I can discuss details so you understand the Medicaid. No, don't worry about money, anything. Just do the funeral. Okay, alhamdulillah. We did the funeral. 2 weeks later, they called me. Is there a way, can we do the Medicaid? I said, after the fact, it cannot be. Brother, do something. I said, I can't do illegal stuff. So I know the time is very emotional, right, at that time. But at the same time, the death has occurred, and we have to do things according to the law and properly. Right? So Medicaid pays $3,056 toward the funeral home cost. And if you don't listen and you don't do the properly, then you lose that money. You are paying from your pocket then. Medicaid also pays $714 toward the cemetery cost. So if this cemetery charges $1,385 for opening and closing, out of $1,385, $714 will come from Medicaid. If you don't listen, you lose that too. Right? But at the same time, the Medicaid, when I call the Medicaid, they tell me, they give me conditional approval. Conditional approval, meaning they say, okay, the person looks like is approved, they send me the paperwork, I fill the paperwork, they ask all the questions in the Medicaid form, how much deceased have in cash, how much bank account, how much this, how much that, real estate, all of that, right? 1 second, let me just finish this, right? They ask all of this, and the family just has 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Then I send the paper, notarized, sent to the Medicaid. They gave me conditional approval. 2 weeks later, they denied. And they sent us the notification why they're denying it. They're denying it because they found out the deceased have actually $20,000 in the account. So they're not going to give. You know what I mean? And so what happens is, then the family have to reimburse the funeral home. Now, there are other issues. Once they're done, the family later on says, no, we're not paying you anything. Sue us. I had a case where the family said, no, the person must have Medicaid. I said, they are saying, they sent me the letter, they're not going to give. No, okay, then we're not going to pay you. You need to sue us to get the money. I said, I'm going to get the lawyer and I'll pay all of that money to them. Brother, pay $1,500 less and get done with it. Right? Because we have to pay our staff member. I have my staff, my other funeral director, I have my support staff. I have my driver who will go and drive the body and bring all kind of things. I have to pay rent, insurance. Everybody is insured for $3 million. Okay? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Murder cases. Right? Murder cases. I have to be very careful. Anytime I get the murder cases, I have to be very careful. I tell my brother, you sit in the funeral home, outside in the funeral home, have your blinker on even if you're sleeping. You know, just a presence. You know what I mean? Okay, brother, you were asking a question quickly?
No, this Medicaid thing, is it available for everybody or?
No, those who have Medicaid.
Oh, the people who have Medicaid.
Who already have Medicaid.
Not Medicare.
Not Medicare.
Okay.
Medicaid. Okay? Any question before I get to the...
It sounds ridiculous that I'm still alive. I can bring my family member and I want to have my wishes that this is supposed to be done.
It's a very good question.
How it is.
It's a very good question. You know the will, when you write the will, those who attended my previous seminar probably knows. Anything you write in your will about your funeral, okay, I wish to be sent to Pakistan or here or there, I wish to be buried in this cemetery, everything you write in your will becomes null and void as soon as you die. You cannot yourself decide about your funeral. No matter if the attorney creates it or whoever creates it. We are at the mercy of our family members. Hopefully they will just follow. And if somehow you do not want your family members to handle it, then it's called funeral agent. The attorney drafts a funeral agent assigned by the state. Now you are at the mercy of funeral agent. The funeral agent says, oh, he wrote, send me Pakistan to the, oh no, nothing, bury him here. He can override. The thing is, you lose all your rights no matter what you write. Clear? Did I answer your question?
That's like if I'm still alive, we, my family members, and every arrangement with you.
Yeah.
You write it down, this is my wishes. That's going to be valid or no? Because the family members are there by that time, I'm not going to be there.
No, what I'm saying, I'm saying it's valid, but your family can override it.
Yeah, but family there, when I going to have.
Okay, so family came and they said, okay, yes, my father, we're making this arrangement. When the death occurred, they came and said with the funeral director, he said, these wishes, we cannot accommodate anymore. Take it out.
I want to make sure what you
They can override.
I want to make sure what you said. You said in the will, it doesn't matter. You
Doesn't
don't
matter.
have to write anything in the will.
Funeral part of the will.
Funeral, yeah.
Only the funeral part. The other legal, the property and all of that, that's different.
Yeah, I know, but the funeral
Clear?
arrangement
It becomes null and void.
saying that we cannot decide how the funeral.
You cannot decide about your own funeral. The family decides. Okay? Imagine, it is, okay, you say, okay, I'm sent to Pakistan, family don't have money to send you, and your condition is that you are not be able to be sent. What are you going to do then? The family decides. Or whoever the funeral agent. How much time do we have before the prayer? 10 minutes. I'm going to quickly wrap it up now. I'm going to go to the frequently asked questions. Frequently asked question, what should we do when the death occurs? What should we do when the death occurs at home? No, but it depends, right? If you're in the hospice, you call the hospice nurse. You call the hospice nurse. You don't call the police. But if not under hospice care, you call the police and so on. Okay? When can we announce the funeral? This is very important. This is so important. You cannot announce the funeral until funeral director confirms to you that he has the permits and everything. Okay? And again, how much time the doctor have to certify the death legally? 24 hours. But most of the time they do it. We push it. I just tell my assistant to push them. And, somehow. When do we expect the death certificate? This is a very common question. So if somebody passes away today, they get the death certificate in about 2 weeks from the state registrar. Okay, 2 weeks. If you want urgently on the same day or next day, you can get from the township. But from township, each death certificate is around $25 each. With the state, if first copy $25, additional is $2 each. Okay. I have to take this call because one brother is very sick. He came from Miami and he got heart attack or something. But this is not that call, and they are just have to send him to Miami. How do we find out if the Medicaid will pay for the funeral cost? Can you find out as a family? No. Funeral director or my staff. We call the social services, we give them the social security number, name, all kind of things they ask. Then they tell us whether this person is eligible or not, right? Family says, no, it has Medicaid. No, don't fight with me. The Medicaid is telling me, even if you have Medicaid, like the one case I today have, right? This brother, I believe, is 61-year-old, and the family has Medicaid. I see the card, right? When I called the Medicaid office, they said, no, he's not eligible for the funeral part of the Medicaid. He's eligible for the medical part, health care, not the funeral part. And the family was like, no, he has it. I said, here's the email. You decide what do you want me to do.
What's the age difference?
Huh?
Eligible. Medicaid. What's the age?
No, that I don't know the age of all of that. That when the Medicaid becomes, you become 65, 62, I have seen the cases where the person is 18-year-old with disability. Oh, that is not something I know, right? At what age you can apply Medicaid, that's a different world, I believe, right? I'm gonna call him later. This is not that case. Okay. So we find from the Medicaid and we let you know. Okay. And make sure you give me the right amount how much the deceased have. Otherwise, it's going to be declined anyway later. Okay. Any questions? We can wrap up. This is what information I gave you is maybe 20%. Maybe some other day we will do a longer seminar with this, so I can give you everything.
Raising the question for us as MCGP, capacity issue. We have 3 or 4 burials at the same time, same day, and everybody wants to have it done in MCGP. So we have to handle some. So they have the facilities. It has to be done within 24 hours or 48 hours.
That has to be discussed later with the funeral committee members. How are we going to handle that? I'm going to make it happen somehow. I'm going to, okay, if the first funeral call came, they are the priority. So their schedule is set up. Second call comes, okay, we'll figure it out how to go around. Third came, we go around, okay, Zohar cannot happen, Asr will happen. So that all need to figure out, because the mosque cannot decide it because they don't know the permits and all of that, right? I'm the one who's going to say, okay, this person, his permits are here, let's do this. This one is not even coming yet. So we can delay this one, right? Yes, brother. He's asking.
I think what I take away from is this, that since we are a part of the MCGP and the board has a very strong, I mean, our community-wise, the board has a very strong presence in the community. So the best thing would be for any person from MCGP is to, instead of finding who is how to get in touch with you or funeral director or do anything, to get in touch with the board member first to find out.
Brother, you want to take... Brother, I have a funeral committee. You want to take call 2 a.m. in the morning? You want to take the call 2 a.m. in the morning and then start working with the family and they call you every 5 minutes? You may do one time. Second time, I am so tired, I got answering service now. So my case is from 9:30 or 10:30 to Fajr prayer. All calls go to the answering service. Answering service picks up the phone. They say, are you calling to report a death or for something else? If they say, yes, we are calling, or the family says, yes, we are calling to report a death, they connect to my assistant, Fatma. And the Fatma starts sending release authorization, New Jersey Department of Health form. She starts fighting with the doctor to get the certification done, nurses, medical, all of that. And when I wake up in the after for Fajr prayer, then I take the case from there. I used to do the night also. Brother, one time you do 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm done.
But I just want to have big clarity because MCGP role is only for providing a washing facility, janazah prayer, and the cemetery if people want to buy it.
That's it.
They have to call the funeral director for the burial. That's a whole different world.
This is a whole complete.
Nobody can involve.
No, you cannot decide it. You can't not decide it because I don't follow the MCGP. I can follow the MCGP rules. Okay, on weekend, let's not bring the body at Zuhar prayer because the kids are here that time. Okay, that's fine. But I have to follow the FTC and New Jersey Mortuary Board rules, not your rules.
You got me wrong, actually.
Huh?
My point is that community at the moment, you see only a 20-25 family members here, and not everybody have your number. So when there's 2 o'clock something happens, where you find...
Okay, so that is a separate thing. So that's separate thing. So what we have... No. So we have the funeral committee, at least for the time they told me they will handle it, and I doubt it because I have been doing for 15 years. I have. Let's not talk about this. We'll later, inshallah. Okay, but that is a process. It's not easy. Let our assistant and we as a professionally handle everything. because family asks question. At the same time, medical examiner calling now 2 a.m. in the morning. And they're asking question. You're not equipped with those things or answers we have to handle. Any?
Yeah, for burial overseas, is it the same? You get in contact like with you and they will do the arrangement?
Sorry, what?
Overseas.
Yeah, overseas, everything me. The funeral director, whichever funeral home you are working with, the funeral director you're working with, they make the arrangement.
You work with the embassies?
Everything. They don't work with you. They only work with the funeral home. And we've, embassy, consulate, all kind of things, Any other question or we are done? That's it, inshallah, Imam. Make the dua so we can close it. Okay, last question.
In my case, I'm going to tell you my case anytime. I have a daughter, she's sick with cancer, and I'm retired. I went to Morocco for the last 10 years, so I come over here. I don't know how long she's going to be in, I might go back, but can I make arrangement with you while I'm here?
You can, so what you can, it's called pre-arrangement. It's pre-arrangement. You can pay everything. We don't keep the funeral home cannot keep the money. It goes to the state of New Jersey fund, which is like $1 billion fund. They keep all that money there. Because I may die tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or I may close the funeral home. Sorry?
So just reach out to him and you can pre-arrange the burial.
Yeah, pre-arrangement can be done.
You can arrange for everything and you pay in advance. So, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you, my dear brother. I wanted to kind of just to pull back a little bit. SubhanAllah, it's very important for us to not take for granted having a Muslim funeral director, because we never had these things before. We never had funeral director before. It was the imams who were doing a lot of this work. My father used to work with a funeral home in Boston who was not Muslim, and that's what the majority of Muslims did. They were constantly having to teach the non-Muslim funeral directors, oh, this is the Qibla, oh no, we don't use this, no, we don't embalm, we don't, right? The fact that Muslims now, we have funeral directors and they have assistants and they have this operation, it's such a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's still not big enough where we can almost participate. It's like if you go to, for instance, Saudi Arabia, if you go to Mecca, it's too big of an operation. The average Muslim never sees any of that operation. They never see a ghusl room, they never talk to a funeral director, they're so far away from it. They just show up and pray the janazah prayer, that's it. Right? So, I just wanted all of us to recognize these blessings that we have, alhamdulillah, and please keep Brother Afsal and his family.
Ameen.
Inshallah ta'ala. So we'll get this one short dua. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Oh Allah, we ask you by all of your most beautiful names. We ask you, for you are the giver and you are the taker. You are the first and you are the last. You are the most apparent and you are the greatest secret. Ya Rabb, we ask you to take our souls while we are in a state of closeness to you.
Ameen.
While we are in the peak of our iman. While we are at peace with you and your Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Ameen.
Oh Allah, we ask you to make us of those who have come to terms with the reality of life. Our limitations as human beings, our return back to you and our account with you, Ya Rabbil Alameen. We ask you, Ya Rabb, to make our hisab easy upon us,
Ameen.
to allow us to enter the highest of Jannah without reckoning,
Ameen.
to allow us to mend and reconcile our relationships with the short life that we have, and allow us to give from our talents and our resources all that we have, so that we may live a life well lived in this dunya and go straight to the highest of paradise. Ya Rabbil Alameen, birahmatika nastaghith, in your mercy, in your aid, in your help, we seek refuge and relief. وصل اللهم على